everyone. Catriona here from Slange. Going to have our ghost stories tonight. So if you're interested in haunted happenings across Scotland, here is our ghost story session. So as I said to the guys on Facebook, it's best to have the lights on. So I'm just going to wait a few moments and just to see who's joining us. It does have a slight lag, so I just want to see who's here before I start with our stories. I look very glamorous today. I was going for my gothic look. I was actually going to come in like that. I was thinking of some weird, I don't know, gothic sort of thing with my scarf. Hi, Laura. How many, what was it you're drinking? I saw it on Facebook. What are you drinking? I'm not drinking anything. I'm off the booze. So we're just waiting in on Facebook just to see what's happening there. And then we'll get started. Oh, thank you. Bacardi. I remember Bacardi Breezers. Do you remember Bacardi Breezers? Kind of showing my age a wee bit there. But we've got the ghost thing happening. So I don't know if you can see the shadows. I put like more gothic-y makeup on, Karen. So thank you for the compliment. Laura, I am telling ghost stories tonight. Absolutely. Tonight is ghost story night. Every Friday night, 10 o'clock, ghost story night. That's the plan. And we've got some really good ghost stories. I've been doing a lot of research. Hi, Bonnie. So we've got Bonnie here on Facebook. We've got Laura wanting me to tell her ghost story. So I will, Laura. We were kind of hijacked last week anyway, so I might bring some of what I was talking about last week again, just for those who missed it and who left. So let's just see who we got. I know we've got a few coming in. Okay. So now I've got you ladies here so far. Let's get started. So I'm going to start off. So last week I decided to focus on Edinburgh. So I'm going to start off with a wee story in Edinburgh. The accolade for where I got the story from actually comes from Graham Malcolm. So if anyone knows Graham Malcolm, it was Graham who told me this ghost story as part of his little Edinburgh trip that he took me round. But I did find it in a special ghost story book that I bought at the Mary King's Close while I was waiting for my group a wee while ago. Hi guys, hi Sansa. So this is the book. I'm just going to reference it. I'm not going to read it out for copyright purposes, but it's a really good book. I know you probably can't see it. Let me just turn that round there. If you can see it, you might see Scottish Ghost Stories by James Robertson. And I'm just going to turn you back. There you go. And for those on Facebook, that's the book there. So there's quite a good few Scottish ghost stories. Karen, that's deliberate. I've got just a wee bit of light just to create shadows. I don't know if you can see shadows. The shadows behind me on our Facebook. You can't really see the shadows on Instagram, but yeah, it's because I've got the light here right on my face. But I might actually put it like that. So that's just a wee bit better. We've just got another participant. We've got Kate. You're back, Kate. I'm hoping you're liking the look. It is deliberate. So I have put my face like this deliberately. I was going to shine a torch underneath my chin like you did when you were a kid, and I thought probably not. the best. I didn't want to give you guys too much of a fright, so I thought half my face being lit was going to be a better vibe for our ghost stories. You're not getting the ghost thing. I know. You were just complimenting me on my makeup attire. I wasn't looking spooky enough. We could actually, what I might do, guys, I'm just going to turn this around. There. Can you see the ghostly window behind me? There we go. So there's like the light. Hopefully that's a bit better. Hi, Crystal. And hi, Joe, checking in from Virginia. So we've got quite a few people joining us now. So I'll just get started. So the point, what we're trying to do is go into a few wee ghost stories about Scotland. I reference this book only because I get some of my references can come from here that I've heard about. So when I've run out of my own ghost stories. So let's see. Now, this, as I said before, this story comes originally to me by a chap called Graham Malcolm. Look at that ghostly shadow behind me. Can you see that? Ooh. Anyway, and it's called, he's known as the Wizard of the West Bow in Edinburgh. And the thing about the Wizard of West Bow is he's based on a real guy. He's a chap. He was called Thomas Weir, aka Major Weir, which just sounds a bit hilarious actually when you say it out loud. But the story about Major Weir is that he was a known, how would you say, evangelical Presbyterian. So this is of the New Reformed Church, the New Reformed Kirk. So he was really, 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 really supposedly of the complete one. He was completely down the one side of being a Presbyterian. He was so evangelical. He was known to taunt people. He was known at the gallows. He would like mock people going to the gallows, calling them heathens and traitors, and they were going to hell and all these kinds of things. So he was incredibly pious, is the word I was trying to find, or so everybody thought. Now, Mr. Weir was from Lanarkshire, and he moved to Edinburgh. He had a military career, and over in Ireland, came to Edinburgh, and he was part of the wee clergy who basically making sure Edinburgh kept its morality. However, he used to carry around a staff, like a staff with him. And that staff, people just thought, oh, it's a bit weird. But it's Thomas Weir, Major Weir. He's a really cool guy. He's really down with the church and down with Christianity and down with the New Reformed Church. So we'll just ignore it. He was, apparently he used to walk about with a big cloak. He had a big nose, apparently. And he used to be quite scary looking to people who weren't of the right faith or who were a bit naughty. He would literally put the fear of God back into them. Now, the problem was there was an apparition near where Major Weir was staying, down near the Cowgate. And these two girls said, I think, they got the guys to trace the steps They found it was near Mr. Weir's house. So the next day they made inquiries, and Mr. Weir admitted to being in with the devil. He admitted to incest with his sister Jean. He admitted to bestiality. He admitted to lying with other women, and all sorts of awful things. And so obviously his pals were a little bit taken aback by all of this, because this is Thomas. He's a top guy. So they tried to brush it under the carpet. But now you're starting to see the start of what I mentioned the other night with the Covenanters, the killing time, and Thomas was therefore on the wrong side of that religion, and so they were going to make an example out of him. So they arrested him and his sister Jean and interrogated them both. By this time he was about 70, yeah, they made him confess. He confessed to everything again. He had no problem with it. They asked him to absolve his sins and to basically go back to God. And he said, I don't want to anger the devil any further. So he knew he was going to hell, and therefore he didn't want to anger the devil before. So he didn't. Then you have his sister Jean, who admitted to all the things as well. Now I'm going to use some of the language that was used, because it's quite hardcore. So this is actual quotes from 19th century accounts. Robert Louis Stevenson knew about this chap. Sir Walter Scott knew about this chap. He was quite a notorious guy. So that was the wrong story. Sorry, guys. I got taken. Here we go. So here we go. This is what I was looking for. So it's actually quite awful, because Mr. Weir, when he was arrested, they arrested him with his sister, and they managed to find money. Hi, guys. So they confiscated the money. He said there was nothing, but his sister confessed that there was. And apparently when the Bailey who went to arrest them and confiscated the money went to put the money into the safe, it sounded like the whole building had collapsed, because it was obviously cursed. So there's quite a lot in here, actually, but I'm trying to condense it. So here, the stories about Major Weir as he went on trial now came thick and fast. It was recalled that back in Lanarkshire, a young woman had once reported coming upon him engaged in an unnatural act with a beast. While on his way to a meeting at New Mills, but she had no other witnesses, and had been whipped through the streets of Lanark by the hangman as a slanderer of such an eminent holy man. Oh, sorry, guys. It seems to be dropping out on Instagram. Is everybody else got... Oh, hold on. Let me see. It might be the internet that I've got on. Nope, it should be fine. There we go. Sorry, guys. Hopefully that's better. Fingers crossed. So yes, so that is one of the things that he had happen. I just want to get to when he was going to be executed. So this is why you have the horseshoe. Hold on. Okay. We've now got Jean. So, Major Weir, this is the story back. Major Weir was tried on the 9th of April and was sentenced to die on the 14th at the Galilee, which is a place of execution out with the city walls and a little way down from what is now known as Leith Walk. So usually what would happen before you were executed for this type of crime is they would strangle you or throttle you to death, okay? He did not have this mercy. He was asked to say, Lord, be merciful to me, and he denied that, saying, let me alone, I will not. I have lived as a beast, and I must die as a beast. And so he was burnt alive. His sister was also not afforded any help, even though she was sexually abused by her brother from the age of 15 to the age of 50. And clearly she was not, as we say, the full shilling after that. She had what I would only describe from reading it as probably a mental illness or condition. She was also executed for her crimes for witchcraft. Now, after their executions, for 100 years, apparently, you couldn't go down the West Bow, one of the houses there, which is now kind of where Victoria Street is. You couldn't go there. Like the one house, it was left uninhabited for 100 years. And then one guy went to live in it for a short while. He was haunted, left the next day, and then it was demolished. But apparently, even according to Robert Louis Stevenson's father, you would sometimes see the devil's coach and horses waiting outside the house for them. So this is down in Edinburgh. If you go down the Grassmarket, so that is Jean and Thomas Weir, okay? And you can read more about them, like I said, in this book. I don't want to do too much of the copyright because it's not my story. That's a slightly longer story than that was provided by Graham. But Graham told us this: if you go down to St. Columba's Church, which is just as you come down the Royal Mile from the castle, to your right, you'll see the church with the big red door. If you just go to the side of that, that will take you down the stairs, the steps to the Victoria Street, which will take you down to the Grassmarket. And apparently that happened in that kind of vicinity. That's the story. So if you go down there and you hear a ghostly horse, or you see a creepy guy with a staff or a staff by itself, have a look at that. Although nothing has really been seen since it was demolished, apparently when the house was demolished away with everything else. So while I go to our next story, I just wanted to say hi to a few extra folk. We've got Ian. Hi, Ian. Renee from Ohio. Hello. Have you considered doing ghost tours in the month of October or around Halloween? I have, actually. I have done 2 Halloween tours, specifically for ghost stories and ghost tours. Hola, Argentina. But yeah, so it is definitely something that we're thinking about doing more of in the future. And Slange, the pub in Tarbert near Loch Lomond, the plan is to go and do a little ghost tour of Argyll, where I've had my own experiences of hauntings. And then going back to their establishment and having a murder mystery kind of night. They actually have a graveyard at the back, so we can actually go into a graveyard. The place is said to be haunted anyway, so that's quite cool. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'll be putting something out hopefully next year. So if you're up for a ghost tour extravaganza, then yeah. Hi Shona, you're in Australia, but you're originally from Argyllshire. Wonderful. And good Saturday morning, Trish. Is there any video about my ghost experience? There's lots of. I have a YouTube video of one of them, which I posted from Blackness Castle. I have had many, 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 many ghost experiences. If you go and check out our Facebook page, this is only on Instagram. If you check our Facebook page, you'll see that there are quite a few videos, previous ones to this now, that you can watch them. So on Facebook, on our Slange Facebook, our Ghost Story Night. So a week ago and the week before that is when we started Ghost Story Night. So Helen, you're in Skelmerley. Just 2 minutes up the road. Skelmerley, Helen. Actually, because Helen's from Skelmerley, Helen, I had the worst ghost experience of my life in Skelmerley, down by the old stables for the castle there. I witnessed a really awful, awful, awful spirit, the Cheshire Cat lady. Terrifying, terrifying, terrifying. So if you're interested, take a wee wander down there and see the Cheshire Cat lady. She actually looks like this. She has a big hood like that, like a cape hood thing, and the cape only comes to her shoulders like that, and it's like this big, 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 big hood like that, and then she's got like a face like that. It was really awful. See that? Thanks, Helmut's just posted that in. So I'm just reading some of your comments. Laura is here as well, and Laura asked me to tell you her ghost story. And I've mentioned this to you guys already. I tried to mention it last week. It wasn't as easy as I would have hoped, but because we're kind of in the Edinburgh theme, Laura and her now husband, but he wasn't at the time, were on a wee day trip out in Edinburgh. Now, Laura is originally from down south, and she met her husband down there, and they were coming up to visit his family because he's originally from the Glasgow area. So they came back up to Scotland, and their friend, who works in the oil rigs, had a flat in Glasgow that he had lent them because he was offshore. So he said, just stay in my house. Here's the key. Everything's great. And so he did. And they had the key, went to Edinburgh. He's obviously trying to impress his girlfriend at the time. And they went and did the Vaults tour. And that takes you basically beneath the city, although it's just under the bridge, essentially. And they went and did the tour, the ghost tour. Now her now husband, then boyfriend, was not he's not very superstitious. He doesn't believe in ghosts or anything, or at least he didn't at the time. And he saw he was just mocking it slightly. So he's going, "Ooh, this is scary," and "Ooh, look at that." And Laura was getting very, very, very scared. And they were talking about Mr. Boots. And I mentioned Mr. Boots last time. In fact, I drew a picture of Mr. Boots. Would you mind passing me that pink booklet there? I actually drew a picture of Mr. Boots just because Laura has brought it up. I did a wee picture, guys, for last week's ghost story chat. Thank you. And I drew a picture of Mr. Boots. So that's Mr. Boots there. Okay. I hope you can all see Mr. Boots. And that's the Mr. Boots I see in my head. So I don't know anything else other than that. That's the impression I have in my head. This very big black figure with a big pointyish hat thing, just overcoming all the energy that's there. And the story about Mr. Boots is that he was most likely like a landlord. Okay, so he would take money for rent, basically, from the tenants. It's very poor tenants. And he walks around with this big chain. God, I don't even have anything with me today. I don't even know if I want to emulate it, but if you just drop a set of keys on a table, on a glass table, listen to that sound, and that's Mr. Boots. Okay, and you can also hear his footsteps. Now, he apparently is one of the ghosts who haunts the vaults, because that was his neck of the woods. But just as you come into the vaults, actually, there is another energy. It used to be a cobbler's, a shoemaker, before they became more residential sort of dwellings as the people got poorer in the 19th century. They started off their life as workshops for tradespeople who were selling their wares on the high street. Ugh, sorry, Laura, I just read that. and and the trades people, there was one chap who's a cobbler, and sometimes you get the cobbler as you go in, and sometimes he touches your shoes. He likes to touch your shoes, but he's a nice, kind spirit. He's not a nasty spirit. And up until that section, you can feel the presence of a little boy as well, about 7 or 8 years old, they believe. This little boy, happy-go-lucky, and he's also quite playful. And he doesn't go beyond that point, okay? Because beyond that point is Mr. Boots. And it is actually believed that Mr. Boots abducted that little boy and murdered him. But now the cobbler spirit watches over the little boy. But Mr. Boots is still further away. So the cobbler keeps Mr. Boots out of that section of the vaults. But from there, it's free reign. And he has the free reign there. He is not the nicest spirit. He's very... I had a sense of Mr. Boots when I first walked in there on a history tour. I mentioned this to you guys before. I wasn't even on their ghost tour. I was on their history tour, and I just had this feeling. This is my impression of Mr. Boots, what I see in my head. I usually see things. I can't quite explain it. But that's what I see. And I didn't like it. And then I went back again. And he was... Anyway, I won't go back. That's just my story. But Laura's story is that her other half was mocking Mr. Boots and going, "Oh, I bet you Mr. Boots," and this and that. Laura's going, "Shh, shh, shh." Well, that night at the flat that they were staying in, Laura, I hope I get this right because this is from memory. They were lying in their bed and they heard this rolling sound, as if a coin was being rolled up and down the wooden floor. And then they looked, and it was this coin just rolling on its side down the floor. And they could hear the keys. So they left and they went to stay with her partner's or her husband's parents because they were like, we're not staying here anymore. And it's my belief that Mr. Boots followed them home. So be careful, guys. Do never mock. Never mock. Never mock. Helen has just come in here with the wee girl who cries for her dolly. You're talking about the Mary King's Close. And the Mary King's Close is supposedly haunted only by one spirit, they believe, and it's a little girl who they believe was left there and who died there having the plague. And she missed her daddy. And so people leave little dolls and trinkets for her because it makes her feel better. And apparently she's got an affinity to men, to male people, like male people, to men who walk around. So that's not in the vaults. That is in Mary King's Close. But you're in the same city, basically across the way, pretty much. You've got the tour that starts for the vaults, which is right next to St Giles Cathedral, and pretty much across the street from St Giles Cathedral is Mary King's Close. So that's that one, if you're looking at that. I just wanted to go back quickly to my Skelmer lady, because I drew her as well, because she freaks me out. Oh, God, I just seen her. That is the Skelmerley lady, Helen. Can you see her? I mean, they're kind of cartoony. It's because I'm not a very good artist. But that's essentially what she looks like to me. She's got like a face like the Cheshire Cat. You know that scene in Alice in Wonderland when her face disappears, when his face, disappears, and you just left with his eyes and his teeth. That's what it reminds me of. And she was like laughing like that as well. It was really creepy, really spooky. So there you go. Hi, Michael. So you're too scared now to go down, Helen. I don't blame you, because she doesn't like women. She doesn't. I've had some friends actually who've been there recently. They had a gallery there for a while, a workshop, and they told me that they seen her as well. So yeah, she's a creepy woman. So next. So she's not quite, Helen, she's not quite in the castle. She's in the, where the stables are. Helmet, it's the stables where Klaus lived. Is that down by the castle? Where was that?
You mean Largs?
Yeah, just before in Skelmerley, in the Meagle, in the Meagle.
Oh, don't remember the name of it.
That's up by the castle, but
yeah, it's not far from it. It's part of the castle, but it's not on the castle.
Yeah, it's not the castle, but it's like, where the Meagle is, and you go up, and it's like the stables. It used to be the old stables, apparently, and anyway. I haven't been there since I was 19 years of age, so I just avoid that road. I used to live in Largs, used to have a shop in Largs. In fact, that will bring me to my next ghost story. I'll talk about Largs for you. So, I think you might be right, Helen. We had like a gallery in Largs for a while, and I mentioned this before. It was run by originally it was a lady who had like crystals and things, and her husband was actually the landlord. So anyway, we took over, and being who she was, she had acquired some clients who still wanted to use some of our space, because we had this big space. We had a big gallery space downstairs. We had 2 treatment rooms. And then the upstairs, we had a very large hall, which I had 60 people in. So let's just hide that shite. Sorry, guys. So there was a lot of it was a big space, and we still had people who did like mediumship classes. We had a psychic surgeon who used to come in from Edinburgh once a month, every 4 weeks. Chris, hello Chris, if you're watching, and others. And one night I would go in when they were doing like a special medium evening thing upstairs. So it was a ticketed event. There was about 60 people, and I would just be manning things and just making sure everything was going well. And this one, so I'm downstairs by myself in this really old Victorian building in Largs, across the street from the Royal Oak, wasn't it, honey?
Yeah.
It was right across the street from the Royal Oak Bar in Largs, which finished before we did, actually. And it's quite an old haunt anyway. Right along from the Gallow Lane in Largs, so just along the path. Oh my God, sorry guys, there is a weirdo. I'm just...
Nobody else saw him, I'll just look.
Just ban. Okay, just had to ban some weirdo. Sorry guys, there's always one who has to ruin it. This one night I was down the stairs in one of the treatments room. I'd set up all our biscuits, our teas and coffees, glasses of wine, all that kind of thing for the interval. Up the stairs, I don't even know what was happening, because I was obviously down the stairs. I wasn't there. And I had like a shop window. We had all sorts of like posters and things on it for things that were coming, circuses, what we were doing, yoga classes, because we had yoga classes there as well. Next thing, every single like poster, everything just came flying off. Like it just came flying off. It was stuck with tape. It just came flying off, lying on the floor. And I had to pick it all up and stick it all back on. And when I went to the medium, she said that there was this blob that she could only describe as this kind of negative blob who was sitting in the area, and she basically told him, or it, whatever it was, to go, and it went downstairs where I was trying to do my business and set things up by myself in the dark. That was pretty terrifying. Even locking up that place at night, because there were so many spiritual things that happened within it, it did make me feel quite scared sometimes. I didn't like it. And other people who would be in there didn't like it either. I mean, you never had any bad problems in the galleries?
No,
you
baby.
You did. I remember now. Helmut actually had one in the galleries. He's a skeptic.
I'm not a skeptic, I'm a non-believer.
He's a non-believer.
There's a possibility.
But Helmut, it was the door. There was something to do with the door in the galleries, and you were like, what the hell? It like flew open or something.
No, there was something. No, you're right. There was something up in the kitchen.
Yeah, there was a kitchen problem.
Yeah, it had in the upstairs. It had
Yeah,
that.
we had up the
What's
stairs.
that?
We had like a little kitchenette sort of
Was the
thing as
kettle
well.
that just boiled out by itself or something?
Yeah,
There
the
was
kettle
something-
boiled by itself,
I
and
can't remember.
there was something with the door because it was the bathroom toilet helmet. Telling you now, we had 2 bathrooms and the bathroom toilet. Oh, it was just scary, and we never went there. So Helen, so see if you go up the Gallowgate Lane, right? So that's where we had one office before we had the gallery. See if you go, so you go up the Gallowgate and then you turn right and there's that road. What was it? What's the name of that road again? We were there so long ago.
Nelson Street.
No, not
No,
Nelson
this
Street.
one.
Nelson Street's the one that goes up.
Gateside.
Gateside Street. It was Gateside Street, Helen. So you got up the Gallowgate, and then there's a street at the back,
Right
and then
by
there's that
the-
car park which is right behind the street where the Woolworths and the Tesco's and the butcher and all that. So it's the car park behind that. We were right on the corner, and right across from us was the Royal Oak Bar. And if there's any Still Game fans, that's the location of the pub when Winston escapes and goes to the seaside. That was my only claim to fame back then. But I was already doing tours back then, so it was an interesting time. So that was a wee ghost story. There was one actually when I was there, and I walked up the stairs, and they were doing like a mediumship class thing, and I walked up to put the we had like a canteen, a kettle thing, and I went to switch that on for tea and coffee, obviously. And then they started saying, "Oh, I was running. And then I died. And I know I shouldn't have died, but I did. And it was my fault because I didn't eat well and I died too soon. And my name's Joe, right?" And I was like, what? And everybody else was like, "We don't know who this person is," because one of the guys was saying it. And yeah, I was the only person who knew that person, and that's exactly what happened. So that was a little bit worrying. Not worrying. It was kind of affirming to me of the guys who were there. So that's really my large stories. Anyone else got any stories that they would wish me to take them through? I've got this big book. Like I said, I want you all to look at it, and I know it's the wrong way around. I'm just going to turn it again for the Instagram folks. Oh, there we go. Scottish ghost stories. Oh, we've got the Scottish Golf Museum. We've got Gary. Hi, Gary. Sorry, we've just got Helen. Yes, it's Gateside Street. There you go. But now you have to go for a wee wander down. You have to go for a wee... Oh, no. Karen, that's because I turned the camera around. I think that happened the last time. I turned the camera around so you could read the book. So the next story I wanted to quickly talk about was one when I was about 15 maybe, and I lived in a section of Greenock. This internet's going on the thing. But anyway, I lived in the street in Greenock, right? Which was built on the old hospital, the old Rankin Hospital in Greenock. And when I was obviously a teenager and being naughty, and well, I wasn't really actually being naughty at the time. I was just running up, all my friends and myself. We used to go and play or hang about because we were teenagers at the park behind the houses, like a children's play park. We were typical teenagers. And I ran down to my house, down this grassy knoll from the top of the park down to where my house was, or in the corner where my house was. And we had some water or a Coke or something. I went to have a wee drink and I ran back up and I got halfway up. So just behind our gardens, there was like this fence. Weird fence. I never really paid much attention to that fence. I still haven't. But there was like this fence behind the backs of our gardens. And as I ran up the knoll, right to my right, I seen this character. And I want to get a pen, actually. Can you throw me over a pen? Sorry, I'm being the biggest pain in the backside, but...
You have a pen.
Even a pencil.
Your daughter keeps stealing it.
My daughter keeps stealing them. Is that a good pencil?
Really? It is.
Oh, my book there, actually, under my bracelet has got a pen in it. I've always got pens. I just want to show you a picture. Draw what it looked like, Catriona. Draw it for us all. So this is kind of what it looked like to me. It gives me the heebs just doing this, right? So I'm just drawing this for you all. They're all very similar. But he had like a kind of orange glow and he had like a scythe. Like that. Okay, so can you see that? There you go. So it kind of was weird because it was like a black figure, but with like an orangey kind of glow on him. And he had a scythe, but like a small, like, I think it's called a scythe. It's like and it was like kind of almost like cutting the grass. It was like very strange. And I saw this and I was so terrified because I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And it kind of reminded me of, I hadn't watched the film yet, but I remember the film posters for Jeepers Creepers. Have you seen that film? Anyway, it just reminded me of that kind of big hat thing. That's the only thing I could liken it to. And I ran up and I had tears streaming down my face. I was so terrified. And all my friends were like, what's happened? Well, we never went down that way for at least a year or two. Now, that's not where the story ends, actually, because there's a good part to the end of that. Is that it would have been about 2 years later. I had a wee boyfriend at the time, and he used to sleep in my living room when he was staying over. And he was a smoker, and he went to have a cigarette in the kitchen, which looks into the back garden. And he said the next day that he had seen, and he was skeptical as well, didn't believe it, but he had seen a black figure with an orange glow with a scythe standing in my back garden. Okay, but he said it looked like kind of like his kind of idea of the Grim Reaper. Now, by that point, I'd almost forgotten about this guy. I hadn't forgotten about me, I wasn't hanging up at the park. I very rarely went out. I used to run a little quicker on my nights out. I would quickly run into my house and quickly open the back door and quickly run in. So I wouldn't have to see anything. But no, he was there, and he tried to think that maybe it was a lamppost was reflecting off another lamppost and another lamppost or whatever, but he couldn't quite decipher or try to make sense of what he'd seen. I just thought it was really bizarre that we had seen the same thing years apart, and I hadn't even told him the story. Now, I have a friend up there, one of the friends we used to hang about with, and he told us a couple of years later that they believe, or he believes, it is the janitor, like the janitor for one of the janitors for the old hospital. And he apparently was fixing the boiler, and he was wearing an orange jumpsuit, and he would have had a scythe or like some kind of tool thing of that description. And yeah, he believes it's him, which would make sense because it's in that area. So lots of people have died just where I am right now. It's not very nice, but that's what you get when you live in an old country. Lots of death and destruction. I had a friend. I had another experience, guys. Actually, I could go on and on and on. But this will be our last one for tonight. I was staying at I wasn't staying, I was visiting one of my very close friends a couple of years ago. This wasn't that long ago. And she was living on a flat in South Street in Greenock. And I was there tonight, actually, very, very quickly. I was running some errands and I dropped it outside. But anyway, in this flat in South Street, it was the weirdest sensation. It was like constantly this feeling that you're not welcome. And we were sitting in the lounge, and my one friend, she knows what I'm like, and she's like, Catriona, you're freaking me out. And I just looked over, and there was just like off to the side, and on her mantelpiece, her mantelpiece for her fireplace, she had like ornaments and candles and things, and like it would just like flick, like something was just flicking. So I was like, right, I don't like this very much, and I went to the bathroom, and my other friend was like, Catherine, I know exactly what's going on, because she used to help me out at my gallery a while, and I've known her since we were kids. She was there on this day, and that day, and I went to the bathroom, and if I'm scared, I always sing. I'll just be like, right, I'm just gonna go down here and see what's on my paper, and I'll look at the floor. Like I just make noises. And she was like, yeah, what? We know there's something here. It's freaking us out. And anyway, I left. I went a couple of times. I've always said it's creepy. And then she told me one night she woke up and there was somebody there in her room. And she's skeptical as well, or at least she was. So she kind of just went, oh, don't tell me. I'm not interested in that nonsense. The one who was living there. And then she left. She left that flat. She no longer lives there. Took her like no time at all to leave. She actually left that night and she didn't go back. So that's a true story. Oh gosh, there's so many. Laura's saying to me, mind to say about your own abilities what you predicted for me. So Laura just says, I've got 100% a baby record. I predict babies, in particular babies. So I told Laura if you don't mind me saying, Laura was trying for a baby, and there were a few difficulties along the way, and she was looking for I just brought my cards one night and I said, let's just do this. And I said, look, you're going to have a baby and you're going to have a boy. And she went, oh, well, don't think so, whatever. And then she went and she fell pregnant. Well, as soon as she started the treatment. And she now has a wee baby boy. So, yes, I'm good at predicting babies. I like happy, positive things. I don't like, sad, negative things. Hi, Laura. We've got another Laura from Argentina who's now living in Switzerland. Hi, Donna and Helen. Yes, it is near the cemetery. Well, just a bit down from it. There was another one, actually, Kelly Street in Greenock. That's where my other friend lived. And we found out that one of the ladies that I work with, that was where her family used to live, in the same flat, which was quite special. Rona. But yeah, so that's my ghost stories. I don't want to give you too much. So Laura, I know you, Donna, sorry, I know you are. Donna's an empath. I read your cards, Donna. I hope you took them to what they are. I sometimes read, I don't do cards for money, by the way. I don't agree with that. But, I like to send a message, but it's all each to their own, what you believe and what you don't believe. But I always say, actually, because I do believe there is a God as well. Other people don't. I'm not necessarily religious. In fact, I'm not very religious at all. I don't subscribe to religion in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe in a higher being and a higher power. And just when Laura was going for her baby, I went and made a wee prayer that you were going to get pregnant. So it all worked out. Hi, Helen. Hi. And Helen being there, your niece lived on South Street as well, yeah. I know my granddad's lived up the top of South Street. South Street, and then he lives, if you go up the very top of Versailles Street and then just round the back, Denham Gardens. He's lived there since I've known him, since I was born. Right next to the cemetery, actually. So that's where they scatter the ashes. So I grew up for a good part of my life right next to the cemetery. Hi, Melbourne, Australia. Amazing. All these Aussies coming in. We've got Donna and others coming in from Australia. So, and apologies, that's only because I don't know all of your names. I've only got Instagram names, which are not always the first name. This is actually just some work. This is what I sit and do. I just write screeds and screeds and screeds of writing. This is about the Ramses and others. But anyway, hi, Shona. Shona, lovely Scottish name as well. Mary of Argyle is buried there. She sure is. Hi, Marge. Thank you. I do go to Highland Mary. Mary Campbell was her name. She was Burns's Highland Mary. And I go to her grave quite a lot, actually. So there's lots of haunted stuff, even just where I am. I mean, there's one bit in Greenock which I kind of run through, just because I get really, especially when you've had a few drinks and it's dark, you kind of have to run. And it is, weirdly, it's Cathcart Square that I have to run through. And that's where they used to burn people and hang people and flog people. So I tend to like bolt right through there under the looming town hall, which is also haunted, guys. And there's a known ghost in the Greenock town hall. So that's good. But anyway, guys, wonderful. We're going to be cutting out on Instagram any moment because our hour's gone. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll speak to you later. There we go, guys. Sorry, Instagram always goes first. Your maiden name is Cathcart. And we've got just a few coming into our ghost story chat. Anyway, no, I think we should probably call it a day and come back tomorrow. We're going to be whiskey tasting. Same time, 10 o'clock. It'll be myself and Helmut tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for joining in. I just love these wee chats, and this is a bit more informal. If you are interested, I can put some actual ghost story chat and do all the sound effects. That will be part of my my sessions for my Buy Me a Coffee, which thank you everybody who sponsored me so far. It's been wonderful. So much love to you all. It's been fantastic. And I will see you all tomorrow night. So hopefully you all tune in. Hopefully you'll have a wee dram next to you. I don't care what time it is in the morning. It's going to be 10 o'clock in Scotland, and that's all that matters. So have your whiskey ready. You can even make it with your porridge in the morning. Or, you know, it's a weekend, so you guys, most of you won't be at work. You know, if you're working from home, you can slip in a wee scotch and join our wee tasting. So thank you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again tomorrow and next week. If you have any ghost stories about Scotland, I see just before I go, we've got Laura and we've got Helen. If you have any ghost stories about Scotland that you know about, please send them to me and I'll kindly, gladly discuss them for you. All right. So thank you. And you're very welcome, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home. And I'll see you all tomorrow night. Take care. Mwah. Much love.